2 years ago, I had the surprising pleasure of reviewing the first Attack on Titan video game, and the second this time around has been a repeat performance by Koei Tecmo. Coming into anime adaptations, you never quite know what you're going to get, which means some seriously tempered expectations, but each time Attack on Titan has surprised me. With the first title was carried by just how ridiculously fun it was using ODM to zip around the environment and drop titans hundreds of times my size. With Attack on Titan 2, it has been a nice ramping up of the difficulty and building out the entire rest of the world into something that feels tangible and engaging to interact with. Prepare to traverse well-covered ground as AOT2 brings you back to square one of the story. Though it eventually extends well into the current material, you must first re-experience the fall of Trost, go back through your paces training with the 104th Cadet Corps, plug a hole in the wall with a giant boulder, and spend a lot of time battling the female Titan before you get into the Season 2 material. On the plus side, the game has found a number of ways to make this rehashing of old plot more palatable, chief of which is by having you create your own self-insert fanfic character who has been just off-screen the entire time. Your custom character is positioned as an important historic individual for fastidiously keeping a journal of the goings-on around Eren's squad as the plot spirals into greater levels of conspiracy and intrigue. Although your character is referred to as our man, you are able to create a male or female with a respectable amount of appearance options. At game start, you are revealed to be a child from Shiganshina who lost your family when the Colossal Titan appeared, sitting mere feet away from Eren's group as he promised revenge on all Titans, your little baby fists gripping to indicate you had made a similar resolution. A sort of silly concept, but in execution, it really opens up the story. Although your character just barely doesn't make the top 10, your performance during the Battle of Trost results in your becoming a special recruit in Levi's unit to participate in off-screen missions like capturing the Titans, which were later mysteriously killed. Interacting with the extended cast of Attack on Titan is one of the most satisfying aspects of this new dynamic. In addition to breaking up the monotony of replaying old plot, there are a lot of rewards for searching around camp for social interactions. First is simply the fun of playing out a lot of humorous interactions, and second for the benefits playing them correctly provide. Endear yourself to characters and it builds friendship meter. Every rank up increases your likelihood of success when matched with the character in joint drills, training which improves your stats, in addition to 3 skills each character teaches you at a set level of friendship rank. The only drawback is that characters are spread out, and the only way of knowing if it's time for a new interaction is to find them. The number of zones in Trost alone are considerable, including the barracks, training area, Titan research room, former scout headquarters, and the Trost district, which itself has a side street subzone. Is so expansive that basically means running laps 1 to 2 times between every mission, which gets old pretty quickly. Also, your window is pretty limited, though for good reason. Attack on Titan is a famously fatal series, and many of the friends you spend a lot of time investing yourself into die horrible deaths. In a way, this feels ingenious since the time you spent interacting with them makes each death impactful all over again. I should probably also talk about gameplay. There have been some upgrades to combat, but the biggest change is a few additions to enforce a level of strategy to your play. It's the same fun, high-flying game as the first title, but as the game soldiers on Titans get smarter, meaning going for the nape become more difficult since they'll snatch you out of the air, break your line, or block your attack. Cutting off the limbs becomes a much better strategy, aided by your team who you can set upon certain body parts. There are also a number of special Titans which require you to target weak points or use alternative strategies. You've also gained the ability to build a diverse number of bases around the battlegrounds which can provide cannon support, self-destruct when a Titan tries to break it, resupply your gear, or mine for crafting materials. Crafting may be one of the aspects of the game one feel most ambivalent toward. I enjoy it as a feature, and the variety of gear you can make is pretty diverse and fun to tool around with. Collecting materials by knocking off Titan limbs, capturing Titans, or setting up mining towers adds another dimension to how you approach each mission. The problem is equipment is gated by certain new rare materials that are unlocked at regular intervals in the main story. You rapidly hit a wall no matter how many scouting missions you go on where you max out your equipment until you do the story mission that unlocks Gemsteel. There are so many side things to do that this limitation really makes itself apparent. Visually, the game feels like it was designed from the Switch and ported to other platforms. This mostly becomes apparent when zoomed in on characters and their glare-like, super flat features, which is something I probably wouldn't bother bringing it up except it hampers the gameplay in a very tangible way. Although everything runs smoothly, the draw distance seems ridiculously limited. This is especially true for Titans, meaning you have to get extremely close before you can lock onto them and start targeting body parts. In many cases, you have to slow down and make a second pass at a Titan rather than going right in because you're basically set to collide with or pass them by the time you've got your reticle where you want it. All in all, Attack on Titan 2 had a bunch of fun new additions that seemed properly thought out and built into the world both narratively and mechanically, with a few unfortunate hiccups. I initially was dreading going through the first season content over again, but absolutely breezed through it as I discovered all the fun things I could do during the downtime. It offers the same combat while allowing you to really get in a feel like a member of the Scouts without anchoring your perspective to Erin, which, I think we all can agree, is a tremendous improvement. Review roundup: same core gameplay with good additions and added difficulty, great friendship system with tangible rewards, nice narrative take on the story to avoid fatigue, fun but unfortunately gated crafting system. Titans can get really glitchy around obstacles. Peter Fabian is features and reviews editor for Crunchyroll, author of monthly Mangaka Spotlight, writer for Anime Academy, and contributor at Anime Feminist. You can follow him on Twitter at Peter Fabian.